Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola, thanks for your time. Obviously, by now, many have seen the criminal charges filed by the Attorney General's office through an OPA investigation um, with some allegations about your time in 2022 as a Special Assistant for Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Before I ask you my questions, just wanted to open the floor with your first public statement to the public.
So thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Tomas, for making the time to come out here and making sure that you get these stories out. I think it's prudent that our people get to hear these stories firsthand. When we talk about transparency, I think this is the means of making sure that our people are actually hearing these information firsthand. So I'm happy to answer the questions that you have to the best of my abilities, given that there is already a process that has taken its course. So I want to make sure that I respect that process and not further create any more challenges for myself.
And so, given that, I wanted to ask whether you deny the charges, the allegations, and if you can just shed some light on maybe how some of the situations unfolded. It involves transporting a private vehicle, a rental vehicle, and some misuse of funds is what the allegations say. So
Sure, thank you. And of course, I deny the allegations, and that's why I spoke to my attorney this morning, and I want to make sure that we go through the full process and make sure that we clear this issue up. I believe that it's some kind of misunderstanding, or it's something that we can clear up immediately. So I'm looking forward to trying to get my name cleared up. So that's the intent here. I do agree. I do disagree with the allegations, and I want to make sure that I clear up my name.
And can you tell us, maybe what your intentions were during that time period, moving the vehicles? Are you able to address that?
Well, so I can tell you that in any public office, not just during that time, or as the lieutenant governor, your intent is always to service your people and make sure that you provide the best service. And I remain committed to that, to that responsibility, servicing our people and making sure that they get what they can, or what they can out of their government. So that's always my intent, and that will continue to be my intent.
And this isn't the first time you've faced charges before. In 2018.
No.
Did this come as a surprise to you?
To be honest with you, not really. It's political season, right? When the 2018 indictment happened, it was right around the election season, and we went through the judicial process and we actually cleared that situation up. So at this point, I'm not surprised, but again, I understand that the Attorney General's office is going to do what it has to do to maintain its fiduciary responsibility, and I'm going to continue to remain steadfast in my fiduciary responsibilities.
Obviously, you were in the cabinet then. Now you're the lieutenant governor.
Yeah. There's been a shift in position. Again, the magnitude of where I sit today is, there's a lot more eyes, and I'm sure that there's a lot more people questioning these charges, and I respect that. Again, I'm sure that there's a lot of people already upset about this, but I want to make sure, and I want to assure everybody that the intent was really just to service our people and do what's right by them, by their government. So I'm going to challenge these charges and get out of it and clear my name, so that once and for all we can continue to move forward.
And there are those online, no shortage of comments on this, who are accusing you of being corrupt.
Sure.
Are you a corrupt politician?
Absolutely not. I think anybody sitting in these positions are going to be accused of corruption, regardless on which position you stand. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent. There's somebody that's going to be unhappy with your decisions, and they're going to call you corrupt. So I welcome that. Not that it's anything that my family's looking forward to, but again, when you accept this responsibility, you got to accept everything that comes with it, to include that probability of being charged for some of the decisions that you can make or that you have made. So
it's been a few years,
Yeah.
And I know that's also part of the question people might be asking: why now? were you ever contacted by any investigators or the AG in the last even year or so, or?
So it's interesting. It's quite interesting that you asked that question because it is kind of, I'm kind of interested to know why now, versus back then when this investigation was launched in 2022, December, January 2023. It's been over 2 years, and just kind of wondering why all of a sudden as soon as I ascend to the Lieutenant Governor's seat, there's, all these charges that are just popping up left to right. But again, this is not to take away from the situation. I want to make sure that still, regardless of all these questions at hand, I want to face this head on and make sure that I clear them up.
And how does this impact your work today as Lieutenant Governor?
It does not impact my work. I remain steady, and I want to make sure that I continue to, execute my fiduciary responsibility and provide services to our people. The governor and I have spoken about this, and we remain committed. We have bigger issues in the Commonwealth. To name a few, the economy. Some of these issues that we're facing are really not something that our people are gonna, it's not going to bear fruit for our people. So it's important for myself to stay focused on the economy and, all these economic activity that's going on, all these investment opportunity that's coming in. So that's the governor and I's commitment. We're going to continue to stay focused on that and keep pushing this, this needle, hopefully, in the right direction.
And what's your response to those, the previous administration ran on the campaign of rebuilding trust, and it is precisely because the economy is at issue that some support all these filings, so what's your response to that this is in fact tied to the economy?
Honestly, I just want to turn that question around and ask the people, if their trust has been rebuilt. It's been over 2 years since, this campaign of rebuilding trust has, happened. People spoke, gave the coalition the opportunity, and now it's time for people to answer that question and see if anybody's life has, or have improved as a result. So, but nonetheless, for me, the focus is not what anybody campaign on. My focus is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stay focused on what I'm doing here as the Lieutenant Governor, as Governor Apateng's Lieutenant Governor, and I'm going to remain focused on that and keep pushing these ideas forward and trying to restore the economy. Again, our biggest problem here in the CNMI is that our people are struggling. So that's my commitment.
All right, Lieutenant Governor, I know there's not much you can say. September 15 is
Yep.
the court date, and as you said, we will see this play out in court.
Absolutely.
Anything else, though, you want to leave the community with as we wrap up?
So I just want to leave the community with this, that there's 3 branches of government, and there's a judicial branch, and let's allow the process to take its course, and let's have faith in the process. Allow me to actually get through this, and when everything is said and done, I'll come out and give another remark on everything that has transpired from my perspective. So I'll allow the Attorney General to tell their story. I'm going to tell my story, and let that be where the decision lies. I'm not too excited about what's going on, but I think again, it's part of our our Constitution where there's 3 branches of government, and we have to make sure that any of these issues are addressed and entertained, so that in the future this is not something that we're going to continue to have these conversations about.
All right, thank you so much.
So thank you.